What's up guys, Scythe here. Finally hit level 50 on Fatman server, so it's kind of freed up my time a little bit. I'm able to do more videos now because I'm not rushing to get to level 50. And I wanted to go over key bindings today. I've been getting a lot of questions asked how I key bind and just how I have my keyboard and stuff like that set up in general. Really, there's no one way to do key binding. It's really whatever suits your playstyle. A lot of people, set it up with their bottom row being 1 through 5, so on. And then a lot of people will actually do like Control or Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3. But that's really not how I do it, and it's not wrong. It's just however it's comfortable for your hand. Some people like to have that control. It's more easier because their thumb's there and they can just smash it and to access their top row of their toolbar. I'm really not a fan of that. I just never could get it, so I really kind of adjusted to how I keybind towards me. So what I did is you go into preferences, and to start off, key binding is like a must. It really makes it to where you're like one with the keyboard. Like your reaction time, you don't even have to think about pressing it. If you're clicking, you're like, oh man, where's this ability? I'm gonna click, and you just wasted 2 seconds when you could have just obviously had it like programmed in your brain to mash this button when this happens. So it cuts your reaction time way down, and it's a must. And a lot of people have trouble like running and using the keys. The best thing to do is to definitely hold down both mouse buttons to run, and then be able to strafe with your A and D keys. So if you need to stop to use ability, you're still running, you can move the ability and then come back to your strafing. So that's how I play. I hold down both mouse buttons for turning and then strafe with my A and D. You can also strafe with your Q and E, but I have those re-key bound just to fit my playstyle. So alright, back to the key binding. Alright, what I did was defaultly your top row is set to your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I've done is I've gone through and made it F1, F2, F3. So really my hand is particularly at the top of the keyboard the most of the time. I'm running with my 2 mouse buttons. I really don't use A and D a lot unless I'm strafing or doing something. But really with the classes I play, a lot of sitting still casting. So you can get away with very easily just running with your mouse and then occasional strafing. So what I did is I rebound those to the F key, so my hand is towards the top of my keyboard. Basically 1 through 5, F1 through F5, my hand is right there at all those keys. So I can hit any 10 of those keys basically instantly, because it's right at the top of my keyboard, right where my hand is at the top of the keys. So I use this whole top row as my F1. So basically, it's running, horizontal with my keyboard, all my abilities. Now, what happens is the further you go to the right, particularly around F5 and then regular number key 5, you'll start getting a little bit of delay because you're having to reach way down there in order to get those keys. So a lot of times what I like to do is the further I get down my toolbar, I like to keybind those with other things. So particularly, let's go down here to the standard keys. Right at 7, that's already bound to R. So basically, I use my 7 really as an insta proc. High impact bolt. The target's stunned, has a dot on them. So yeah, I'm basically smashing that key in order to get that ability to go off. But I'm actually going to no, I completely messed up right there. That's reload. I have my high impact bolt to my mouse. So basically I have a Razer Naga, and I have basically 1 through 12 numpad on my mouse. So I have that high impact bolt on 1. So I'm getting further down the toolbar. I'm using different keybinds to make it faster. So I have my reload on R. I had that completely screwed up. I was looking weird on my toolbar. But so I have the further you get down this row, we're kind of keeping everything centralized to the left side of the keyboard. You're trying not to drag out all your abilities down that toolbar, so your hand is really just working the 5, F5 to regular 5 down your keyboard, so everything's kind of compact. So I have that R as reload, and then I have that 1, which would be on my mouse, which would be my right hand. As we get down further, 9 is F, so that's right below that number 5 key. So I'm still keeping in my line of all my my hand being on that side. So basically that's my gravity round or tracer missile. I have it set up both ways on both characters. So it's really way down there, and really try to keep a ability that has no cooldown on these later slots, because a lot of times you'll be centralized looking at cooldowns on this side, so you really don't want an ability like Death from Above or Mortar Volley way down here to where you can't see the cooldown clearly, but you can get away with it with the Tracer Missile and Gravity Round because there's basically no cooldown. Alright, so we have 0 as T, which is basically pull people out of stealth. It works both on the same on both my characters. So as we're getting down the row, our hand is still central on that side of the keyboard. We're not having to move our hand way down towards the enter key. We're all on that left hand side. So next we're going to have the reactive shield and our heal over time. And what I've done is, since A and D still strafe when you hold down your mouse buttons, they don't when you don't have your mouse buttons held down. You can rebind that if you don't want them to do the turning also, but they have it set up to where it's dual function, so when you are holding down the mouse buttons it strafes, so I just keep that the same. So I got rid of my strafing with my Q and E, and I put defensive cooldowns as Q and E, so I can just easily access them. So that pretty much covered that whole bottom row, to keeping, basically I have a ton of keys and my hand is still central on that left hand side of the keyboard. It never has to go over. Now you have some other things. Of course you have your, making it where you have no action cost or activation. You have a few abilities like that, and basically what I do with this top row is I bind them to the mouse. You can do different things. You can have it set up where F5 through F8 do all your healing abilities. This is really whatever fits your playstyle. You don't have to copy what I do. It may not work for you. You may not like it. You can do different things like putting F5 through F8 healings, so you don't even have to think. You just go up to that little panel of, I have a Razer keyboard, so that's separate. So my F keys are all separated in groups of 4, so you would know automatically, oh, those 4 abilities, those are my heals. You can do anything you really want to with this. I really recommend getting some kind of mouse that has a lot of buttons. It'll just make it easier, so your left hand really never has to move, and you can put the remaining abilities on your mouse. I have the cleanse on my mouse, I have the heals, I have the activations, I have a lot of the stuff on my mouse. So really, the best thing to do with this key binding is to make sure your hand is not moving from left to right. You really want all your keys, if you're going to go the control route, binding those top rows to control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're going to do what I do with the F keys, just really try to make sure your hand never leaves the left side of the keyboard, and try to keybind those later abilities on your toolbars to R's, T's, G's, F's, V. You can really get rid of a lot of the game's key bindings for guild and different things like that, because during non-fighting situations it doesn't matter how much you click. If you want to look at your guild roster, you don't have to be have that key bound. I mean, it just comes down to fighting abilities. So don't be afraid to unbind certain things like Guild Hub or Y, the Legacy. I have my Y set up right now. It's actually on this bottom row, and I'll talk about it in the next video when I go over the Legacy UI. It's basically my heal. So a lot of times in PvE I wouldn't even have to think, no clicking, just smash my heel when I was low or need to reload. I actually do that with all these abilities on the left are actually either key bound. I have that one to Y. I have the this one at 0, which is one of the back buttons on my mouse. Then I have my speeder on there. I have a lot of miscellaneous buffs that I don't need to know or don't need to be present on the mouse. I have my, my basically relics, trinkets, on my mouse also to pop during PvP. Then I have a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that I don't have key bound, that if I really had to have it, I could use it. A lot of this stuff I don't even need. I'm going to get rid of that. And a lot of PvE abilities that I don't come across a lot. And of course I have my sprint over there just to see if I really feel like it's not activating. I'll look over there, but it stays on all the time now. Not a big deal. So I have a bunch of miscellaneous buffs over there, but I'll get into that more in the UI. But this is going to do it for the key binding. I hope this helped. Just trying to keep your hand more central and not have to keybind stuff way on the end. Try to avoid that. Try and keep everything central over there to the left hand side, and then use your mouse to bind stuff like buffs, your relics, different heals. But yeah, this is basically how I do it. Every person doesn't have to do it this way. There's several other ways, using Shift, Control, Alt, but this is just how I got used to playing basically MMOs back in SWG key binding. So yeah, talk to you guys later.